This is Robin Heppel with another frequently asked question. How can an independently owned funeral home compete with corporations? Now, first of all, I've got a lot of friends throughout the funeral profession, and a number of them are working for corporately owned funeral homes, and I don't have a problem with that. But I know that from an independent perspective, it's another thing that we can position ourselves on. And they can try to position themselves in other ways too. So, but if you're from the independent side, here's a few points. First, you can just leverage your independence. Highlight your family ownership, local roots, ties to the community. Maybe offer personalized services that corporate firms can't match, like flexibility in their options or personal touches. They've got their standard procedures, and there's some things that they might have to ask permission for to do certain things where that could be done just going down the hall and asking the manager. Also, you can be more agile. You can quickly adapt to community needs and trends, and kind of what's happening both culturally or in technology. And throughout North America, it is different. Where funeral service is different in different places. It's even different in the same city. There's different pockets or different groups. There's I think from an individual perspective, there is opportunities to adapt quicker than in a corporate environment. And also too, you can build some personal relationships with clergy, hospice workers, local folks from from your community, and trust beats branding every time. So you can if you're a corporate funeral home, you're going to have that brand from a national or international level, but if people, they make arrangements with people, they don't make arrangements with logos and things like that. So it's always good to have staff photos on your website, just because they can really identify that. And one thing in particular too that I see this a lot of is for cremation arrangement websites. Have a picture of a person that's there. So many of them now are they're cartoons, or they're animated images. They're not they're not actual photos of actual people. And even for the low cost cremation, I would say that it's best to have a slightly off professional. You don't need to have a big photo shoot. You have a nice photograph of the person, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Have it more authentic. And also too, because you're offering kind of lower cost services, right? So people aren't going to expect the big lit up room with the box lights and all that stuff. But obviously you want it to be clear, and you still look to be professional, but it doesn't need to be thousands and thousands of dollars of a photo shoot. But that's way better than just a generic image. In Google Ads, what bidding strategy is better? Maximize conversions or maximize clicks? So this is something new, right? So what we're kind of talking about are bidding strategies, and bidding strategies are kind of how Google will basically allow you to bid on things. So before, in the olden days, 10, 15 years ago, you used to it was just they didn't even call it maximize or cost per click. But that's because that's what it was. You said, okay, I'll bid $4.25 on funeral homes in Victoria, but I'm only going to bid $3.25 on funeral home Victoria, and we could get super granular back then. Now, I think one of the one of the problems, it's not really a problem, was that there was so much, we could get so granular with Google Ads. We could, we could dial it in. Now, as a consultant and representative of that service here in Funeral Service, is that it was like, since the information was there, I would get like asked all these questions. Oh, how can we increase that like a little bit more? And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Let's try and we'll do that. And I said, but I know you spend more money on that billboard on the highway. And are you asking the billboard company, like, how do they get like more cars to drive by, or how do they, focus on your billboard more often? And like, how do they like then interact with the billboard, or get the information from there? And we will be talking about billboards in a little bit. But it was kind of this. It wasn't unfair because it was very valuable. But what Google's doing now is they're making it. You know what? Give us a couple grand a month. We'll send you some traffic, and sure, you can dial it in, but we don't have the same control. They keep taking control away from us that operate Google Ads. So it's still available to do your maximum cost per click, and that's where we start when we start people on that, so we really get a sense of what's happening. But then we'll switch to one of the other bidding strategies. So there's my long intro for to answer this question. So I think maximize conversions, and what that is where you'll actually it will actually track someone, and they get to that goal in that process. So they've seen the ad, they click the ad, they go to the website, and then they actually have to take an action. And it could be maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's filling out a form, but for actual conversions, I think that's great for online cremation arrangement websites, because you can just get to the thank you page, so that that you've made your $9.95 or $15.95 or whatever it is, and you just want more and more people like that. And Google will try to do the best it can to figure out, okay, people have to go through all this process to get to that page. That's a conversion goal, and we'll track it like that. But for funeral homes, it's different, because funeral homes are visitors to a funeral home, especially through Google Ads. They're not going to arrange and pay for a complete funeral online. There's going to be questions. There's going to be availability of when can we have the service and things like that. So, you could set your conversion to be a phone call or filling out a form. But the other thing with funeral homes, and not really as much for online cremation websites, is that you're going to have people are there. They want to know, when's Mrs. Jones's service, and they're on the website, or maybe they're just asking a question, and we've put a chat bot up on the McCall's website, and some of the questions, it's all about obits. When's this person, or where do we send the flowers, or those type of things. Now, sure, we weed out the pre-need ones, which is great, and I respond to those right away. But otherwise, it's that a funeral home website is so open. There's so many visitors, and it's just a small fraction. So I would more opt to maximize clicks for a funeral home, but for both cases, I still like to start with manual CPC, just to see where we're at, see the market, what our clicks kind of going for, who the competitors are, and then pick one or the other when you kind of get moving in it. To get more great insights, subscribe to the Funeral Futurist newsletter at www.funeralfuturist.com/newsletter.